Off my jacket.
Well, Dr. Bear, do you want to introduce kind of what this is, or would you like me to? What would you like?
Oh, go right ahead.
Well, this is part of the John and Betty Michael Autobiographical Lecture Series in Art Education. This is the 2021-22 version with our honoree, Dr. Wanda Knight from Penn State University. And this is part of the series. This has always been a piece of it to talk with senior art education majors. So it's a privilege and an honor for our seniors to be able to participate in this one time in their career when they've had, all our methods classes are in almost to student teaching or in student teaching. So we're looking forward to talking with you. And this is really a conversation and questions that they have for you, either from your talk last night or advice that maybe you can give us. So I know they came prepared with some questions, and we're looking forward to talking with you, and you can ask them questions too. So, and this will be part of the archives as well.
Oh my, how about that? So that's great. I just thought, well, I'm in the hotel. I wonder if I should blank my screen, but that's the part of my life. I mean, I'm going to travel and I'm going to continue to do things that energize me. So this is a part of where I am. I'm traveling and I move about the world. So that's my classroom, the world.
Maybe our seniors could introduce themselves and give just a little bit of background about each of you and kind of where you are, where you're from, some of your interests in art education, because I know you have different interests too, just so Dr. Knight knows who she's talking to.
Exactly.
Yeah, hi. Sorry, MB. I just saw you on mute. We're like getting back to that Zoom environment where you're like, I don't know if I should be able to. But hi, Dr. Knight. Hi, everyone. My name is Lucy. I'm from Cincinnati. I'm a senior art education and art therapy co-major. So I have a lot of interests in the world that art education, art therapy interlap and kind of weave through each other, and how healing can be introduced in art education and practices and vice versa. And I'm also really interested, and I know you talked a lot about this last night, is this idea of teaching art education through a social lens and construct, and the importance of bringing that awareness to our students, especially our students of color. So yeah.
Great. Thank you, Lucy.
Here, I can go next. Sorry. My name is MB. I am senior at at Miami University for art education. I am from Columbus, Ohio. And so I remember in your talk when you're like talking about a bit of your like Columbus experience, I'm very interested in that myself. And let's see, I have a lot of interest in teaching some of the digital arts and how the traditional arts can fuel the digital arts. So one cannot exist without the other kind of situation. Right. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm about. And it was very nice to listen to your talk too. I was there last night. Very nice.
Thank you, MB. Wonderful.
Okay, my name is Sarah Frederick. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. So we got all three C's. Let's go.
I love it.
I wasn't able to attend your talk last night. I hope that Dr. Bear Danker can send me a recording of it. I would love to listen to it. I'm right now student teaching, and my biggest concern is like just building those relationships with my students, even those that like don't really open up to me like the first week. And I just want to like hear your insight on that. And like any rough experiences you've gone through connecting with a student.
Okay, rough experiences.
Or good experiences, your best, your worst.
I have all kinds. I can tell you rough too, so we can get to the rough as well. Excellent. Wow. So it's so great to be here with you all, and I'm glad this conversation. So just there is no question that if you have that question, you should ask it, as opposed to going like, well, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't. ask it. You know, the questions, the worst questions that you could have is those that are not asked. So ask, and I'm here. And if I don't have the answer, I'll tell you, I'll be authentic. And that's one of the things I think as a teacher, we have to be authentic, you know, be ourselves. And it really is critical. And I think the vulnerability, we have to be vulnerable with our students. We come to them as, you know, asking certain things. And I think part of building a relationship, Sarah, is about vulnerability. And when I think about vulnerability, I don't see that as a weakness. So many people see vulnerability. Oh, I don't want to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is strength from my perspective. And if you even think about Dr. Brene Brown, who has written a whole dissertation on some of these topics, and she talks about, I think her dissertation may have been on vulnerability. And it's about, that's courage. It took courage for me to tell you those personal parts of my life. It took courage for me to really, it's like the empress has no clothes. So here I am, I'm revealing myself. I'm not acting as though I'm an imposter showing up in a space. Oh, yo, my parents, you know, were doctors and some are lawyers. No, they didn't have, my father had no grade school, only a grade school education. He couldn't read. He never drove a vehicle because he could not pass a test to even drive. My mother, again, a high school dropout, girls in that space didn't go to school. So that 300-acre farm, they had to be on that farm to do certain kinds of manual labor or taking care of kids or whatever the case were. But so to tell you those things, that oftentimes help people make connections because they realize, wow, I didn't know that. Because sometimes I've had students who were in less than ideal situations. And sometimes they would say, well, you don't relate to me. You don't know because you don't know my life because your parents probably are doctors and lawyers. And I thought, really? Okay, let's have a conversation. And by the time you make that connection, you have a life connection and they know that you're real and that you really care about them. And you don't care, they don't know how much they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. They really need to know that you care about them and that you understand and that you're there for them, whatever those situations are, and that you'll be fair, you'll be equitable, you will work with them to help them thrive. And not just the ones that smell good, that are pretty, that come from the best homes, but those are all students. And that's what most of my work entails. So when I talk about diversity, I do oftentimes talk about race. I talk about it because it's a taboo topic in the United States in general, and maybe even the world. It's topics that we don't talk about. And that's why I think we are in the conditions that we are now. If we talked about these areas and dealt with them, and everybody came to the table with their authentic selves, I think we'll be better off. We would have less racial strife and the kinds of things that we see in the world. And that has been my experience. And I look to sort of look at how we can bridge difference. And difference in all forms. So even though I use race oftentimes, but it's all difference. And if people understand my work in general, I'm looking at gender issues and not just, you know, your typical, I'm looking at all forms of gender, cisgender, some of those terms I'm sure you've heard of, transgender, all of those kinds of forms of gender that can divide people, and why people don't come out of closets or they don't feel comfortable in their own skin because society tells you this is not the right way to be. So we have to think about those kinds of things. And when we think about disability, some disabilities and forms of disability are invisible. So if we break barriers, and I said that last night, it's not breaking barrier for one kind of person. If you knock down the barrier, everybody has access. And that's really what I'm after, is how do we, you know, not only raise consciousness, but then once we raise consciousness, then what kind of collective action can we take to bring about change, and change in its various forms. And I hope some people resist change, oftentimes even race. Right now, critical race theory is under big attack, and you're making our kids feel bad and all of these kinds of things. But when you think about it, it really is not putting down anyone. It is not harming anyone. If people really fully comprehended what these things really do, and if they knock down barriers, everybody benefits. But it has been my experience that people oftentimes look at what they're going to lose as opposed to what they're going to gain by everybody coming together and building bridges. So those are some of the things that I see. And I believe that this new generation of teachers that you are in a very powerful position. And sometimes the arts are marginalized among the other kinds of curriculum. Because I've heard several of my teachers have said, oh, well, I'm just an art teacher when they start talking to biology majors and other STEM majors. I said, don't ever say that, please, because you are wonderfully gifted in this area, and our areas connect to all areas from my perspective. And there are ways to see the arts in everything that we do. So and that's why I think we're in the best position to look at diversity and diverse topics, because it allows diverse perspectives at the table. I'd like to, and I don't want to do all the talking, but I'm just sort of, because I remember, Sarah, you said you weren't there. So you get to kind of know my philosophy. So for example, the average person, if I say to you, what is 1 + 1? All of you tell me right away what you think it is. Okay, put your fingers up. Let me see it. Okay, of course, 2. Everybody knows that 1 + 1 is 2, right? But if you really think about it, it's not. It allows you to open up, because we've been told 1 + 1. We haven't questioned it, and we don't ask for the context. So for example, if I had if we were talking about in the Wild Wild West, and one person showed up and another one at a duel at sunset, and they both, one and another one, and they both shot each other, 1 + 1 made 0, because they now have killed each other. So there's nobody left. If a so-called male and a female came together, 1 + 1 = 3, because they had a baby. Okay, so you start to look at different ways of understanding within different contexts. If I say 1 + 1, that's 11, right? 1 and 1 together on the page can make 11. So I'm just saying that there are so many. If we opened our minds to thinking about things very differently and questioning what's the context rather than making assumptions, we could probably do so much more and share that the arts allow us to think very critically, and it allows different perspectives. Now, if among you academicians or teachers or pre-service teachers, well, if somebody came in telling you 1 + 1 is not 2, and this is a dominant perspective based on the responses that I received, oh, they're weird, they don't know what they're talking about. And we may not even be open to a conversation like you're having with me. So those are the things that I want to see. And I see Terry Haynes has come in, and Terry, hi, welcome.
Terry's,
Hi, thank you. Thank you. I just came off the street, literally.
Oh, wonderful.
Trying to settle down in a bit.
Well, okay.
Terry's our student teacher supervisor in the spring. So
Okay, wonderful. Well, good to see you, Terry. And not see you, but good to know you're there.
and she was at your talk last night.
Okay, wonderful. So I hope you'll be jumping in or making comments as needed. So really, I could talk a lot about some of the things, my philosophy, or I'm just open to the questions you've prepared, and no doubt I'll weave into some of the other areas. But just to know that I'm a staunch advocate for diversity, for all diversity. And many people think, and for many, all of my life, for the most part, other than in one context, I identify as a woman of color or Black woman, but all forms of diversity. And I've mostly taught all white students. So the students that I have, and Sarah, if this helps with the relationship, I showed a picture of my daughter-in-law last night. She is white, and she was one of my students in my class, undergraduate pre-service teachers. And she had said all along, she says, oh my gosh, I just love you. I would just wish you were my mom. And I told her now, 8 years later, you got to be careful what you ask for, because she has an identical twin sister too. And they were actually born in Colombia. And after 2 weeks, their mother and father came there and got them. So she grew up and just having relationships. And I remember students also telling me, I wish we could have a class reunion. I said, but the notion of a class reunion isn't a semester's class. So they will always say, well, let's have a class reunion. And I'm thinking, oh, 2001, 2009, no, our class, because they felt that they were so close and the relationships that we built were worth every year trying to meet that same group of people in that one semester. So I think that that's the notion of relationships that you can build and work on and stuff. But Terry, you look wonderful. It didn't look like you just came off the street. You look beautiful. So good to see you. So I'm going to shut my mouth and listen to you all at the questions that you have in mind.
Dr. Knight, I literally could just listen to you talk all day. You're so wonderful. And I think your students' reaction and wanting to create this reunion within that one class that they had is such a testament to the relationships that you build and what you're hoping, what you're inspiring us and what we hope to build. So again, thank you for everything. Oh my goodness. I'm babbling now, but you're so great. And I think it's so just incredible that you make it a point to facilitate these really, difficult at times conversations to expose racial injustices and oppression within students in their own classroom and what they're experiencing with their own peers and et cetera in their own worlds. You spoke about this idea of like a pedagogy of discomfort in your talk last night. I was wondering if you could expand on that term and how you effectively and actively use its meaning to create change within your own classroom and how you manage to facilitate those kinds of necessary conversation when students aren't always as willing to.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. I've written a whole paper on that, but I appreciate that question, Lucy. Wow. And you even use the exact terms that I use. It is a pedagogy of discomfort. So what I do, I believe that, and there is research that shows that it's when people are put in difficult situations that allows them opportunities to grow. And there are different stages that people go through. And I use a particularly racial model. There are different racial identity models. Helms deals with a white identity, and meaning that everybody has as a large cultural group, there is a Black model by Cross, there are Asian models, but to say that given our life experiences, what we've been exposed to, these give us opportunities. Our lives are very different. If somebody comes in with a one-size approach, our experiences have been very different. So this pedagogy of discomfort, I bring about difficult conversations, and I look at how to facilitate those. And I want to make students uncomfortable because I know that will force them to talk, because most of my my classes are discussion-based. So in this pedagogy of discomfort, for example, I do this racial walk, and I line up all the students because they're like at Penn State and they're like, well, now when racism existed, I'm so happy now that we're post-racial. And I'm like, okay. So all of a sudden, I literally take them out on the field because there's a level playing field. And most of the time, I may have one or two students of color and sometimes international students. And I go through, I actually have them blindfolded. I say, you can't see each other, you spread out, and they have to listen to me. And in doing so, they get to move back or forward, given what I tell them to do. So for example, everybody now is lined up on this level playing field. We all are here, we're all are students at this point in time at Penn State University. And so in doing so, I put them out and they start to, I'll say, for example, if you have if you could always show up in a place and know that the person that is in charge will look like you, then take one step forward. And otherwise, and the students get to choose they get to do. I don't tell them what to do if they think it's applicable or not. They just stand still. If I say that you've ever been racially profiled, or you see people as criminals and people who are stereotyped as drug lords and are on a regular basis on TV, media, or whatever, take a step back. So after a while, people's steps are adjusted, and then you get to see things that really happen in real life. Then I have everybody take off their blindfolds and look at where they're positioned. You will always have white people positioned in front, and the other people are moving back. And that starts to show you the racial injustice, social injustices that exist. So that makes some people uncomfortable. But I usually give a literal prize. One time I gave quite a bit of money, but I started giving $5 bills, and I put it in a thing. I said, there's money in here, so we're going to go outside for a race. And if you win, you get this money. Also give them a certificate. So many of the students really, when they start to hear they're like, wow. And then when I give them money, sometimes I've had people cry, I don't want the money, I don't deserve it. And then, and the other students say, well, I didn't have a chance to get the money because of what happens in life. And so they start to see these kinds of things, and then we have to go process it. So that does make for a discomforting situation for some. Sometimes I do things related to wealth, and I'll put one on with a big boxing glove, huge boxing glove. And another one might have they can use their regular bare hands. Another one might use a thicker pair of gloves. And then I put literally a lot of pennies out on the table, huge, a quantity. And I'll say, okay, I'm going to give you a second. You can't touch anybody's hand. If you touch, you're out of the game, but you got to grab as many pennies as you can within a certain time. Well, as you know, in doing so, if you got on a boxing glove, can you imagine grabbing and picking up pennies, right, as opposed to your hands, as opposed to another kind of glove? So that just sort of sets up some of the disadvantages in society, and some people don't always feel as comfortable with those situations, because obviously that activity warrants a conversation later. Oftentimes, I'll do things like, I'll walk in today and I'll say something like, you know, I'm so happy God created Adam and Eve and not Adam and Steve, because I just don't believe in same-sex relationships, you know? And so obviously that by that time, but students know that that's not my real thoughts. So I don't go, but it just makes an uncomfortable situation. So that pedagogy of discomfort makes us face real truths and not talk around these issues. Also, but it's designed to shake up. But like I said, later on, you got to help people come back together. I don't believe everybody should do these kinds of activities, because it can be a bit discombobulating. But I also give students an opportunity to walk away or walk out if they're feeling uncomfortable, but I rarely censor things. I will put it within context, but by the same token, so that pedagogy of discomfort allows people to talk and be their authentic selves, but I also lay ground rules. They're ground rules, and they're called rules of engagement. And when I say I lay them, I let the students come up with them. How do we, and that's the beginning of our every class, the first class that we have, we come up with ground rules. And those, we talk about what, and they get in groups and make these for a whole class. And these are the things we operate with in class. And I remember having one student one time that said, oh, I don't like, you know, I am a racist. And he was being authentic. And I said, okay, let's talk more about that. Well, I had a kid one time who stole my bike in Florida, and I don't like any Black people. Okay. So now we had this conversation. Has anybody Black ever done anything bad to, white ever done anything bad to you? Well, yeah. Do you hate all white people? Well, no. So then it's so it sort of becomes illogical, and nobody attacks, because that's not the nature of what we're doing. We're not pointing fingers, but we're hearing different perspectives. So that pedagogy of discomfort, and I allow and I encourage people to, if something hurts, then we have to say, ouch, you know, and then they know, well, why was that an ouch? Or we let people know our authentic feelings. And rather than saying, you know, everybody thinks that this is whatever. No, let's speak from your perspective. My experience, I can't discount your experience, because it is your experience. But rather than speaking for all people, speak for self. So some of those are the ground rules that we lay. And Lucy, I know I've given too long of an kind of, I don't know if that is helpful, or the kinds of videos that I show, they're very provocative. The kinds of artwork are very provocative. I want people to look at the work, and we're not just talking about the elements and principles, but we are talking about the social issues and the kinds of conversations that might come from these conversations. Like I use a lot of contemporary art, and sometimes I pull in mammies and sambos and pickaninnies, because I've done quite a bit of research on that. And then we look at the ugly racial history that allowed for those kinds of representations. And I show how they now have affected who we are, how we think about the narratives that were associated with that imagery, and now what it has done, and how we think about kids in classrooms, and how our actions, whether we are aware of them or not, are being impacted or affected by the kinds of things that happen, you know, a century ago, more than a century ago, but they are still with us. So that's where I'm. And then if you need further clarity on it, but that's that pedagogy of discomfort. I make sure that I tell, and that's my way of when I said, get comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's where you'll see kind of the growth happen when you are uncomfortable. And then one student, and this goes a little bit to you, Sarah. I had a student, and I call him Mike because I wrote an article on him, a book chapter. And the title of the book chapter is OMG, I have a Black bitch as my professor. And you can see that. And most people go like, wow, well, this is what the student wrote in his journal. And it had nothing to do with me, because when he walked into my class on the first day of class, he had not met me. It's nothing that I had done to make him think of me as a so-called Black bitch. He said, he wrote it in his journal, knowing that I'm going to see this about 2 weeks or 3 weeks later when they turn in their first volume, because there are 4 volumes. We turn them in 4 times over the course of a semester, and I read and respond to what their thinking is and some of the prompts that I have offered for their reflection. So he said that, that he saw me, he had a stereotype that all Black people, women were angry Black woman, but then I take it back to where the genesis of that kind of representation was. And he said that had nothing to do with me, but every class that we did something, he would say, well, no, that's not true. And I would say, okay, well, next class, please bring to class the evidence that you have, and I'd love for you to share it with the class. And I would allow that, rather than saying, well, yes, it is, and I'm acting like I'm the authority. I said, please present that next time. Anything else? No, that's not true. Okay. Each week I would say, okay, Mike, are you ready to present? Well, no, not yet. And then after weeks and weeks would go by, and one day another student asked a question. He said, sounds like you're not reading. He almost like wanted to tell the student. I was like, that's not Mike. And he was real quiet. So near the end of the semester, in his final journal, I wish I could read it, but it's OMG, it's in this book, Teaching to Difference. He wrote about Bilbo Baggins, and he says, I've been there. I went to new lands and far lands that I'd never been before. He says, and I came back to this place where I have a better understanding and knowledge. It was so beautifully written. I felt like I had to write this chapter about him. And he was the furthest from me. So I had him map, we do a mapping racial identity, and I focus on race. We could do gender identity. Sometimes we do things, but I did mapping racial identity, and he used the Helms model, and I used the Cross model. So I mapped our identities. And remember how I said everybody is connected? So when he found out, I knew that he came from a racially homogenous community where he only seen white people. I was the first Black person that he had known. And that was scary to him, just like many students. It's scary to them. And we're going to always see white teachers, because the majority of our nation's teachers are white, probably 80+%. But many people have not had teachers that look like me. So that was scary for him. And I recognized it, but I also told him that I grew up in a racial homogenous community too, mostly Black people on a 300-acre farm. So I had not had that exposure until schools desegregated. So we started making those connections. And that's how he came to, he says, my life is different. Thank you, Dr. Knight. And what he told me at the end, he said, everything that you told us, I would look that night and I researched so hard to counter it. But see, he was educating himself. And that was the whole purpose of that pedagogy of discomfort. He was getting educated, and that's what I wanted. Because he was like, no, I'm going to find it out. And every day he was searching, but he was learning also in that process. So nothing that I could have done any differently, but it was such a beautiful story and moment for me. And that's why I do a lot of what I do. And almost every semester, I have a similar experience, not the Black bitch piece, but a similar experience where I see a major transformation in students, or a few students. And that's so rewarding. So that's a difficult situation, Sarah, that I wanted to sort of integrate into Lucy's question as well.
Sort of going off of all of that and your answer to Lucy's question, I noticed that the majority of your response to her question was from your experience teaching college kids and college level. would you recommend and change anything if you were like teaching in K through 12 where you only have like 45 minutes with the kids each week? Would you even like try to have those discussions, and how would you go about doing that?
Thank you for that question, Sarah. That's a very good question. I have done that. Because the only reason I use this example is because you're pre-service teachers or you're already student teaching. Absolutely. When I was in Chippewa Valley, if you can remember the classes where I talked about the kids crying when I showed up in Michigan. So Sarah, you weren't there, but I talked about being in an all-white school district. They had never had a Black person. And when I was hired, the kids cried and all these people showed up to look at me like I was something, this thing that they wanted to see and who's going to be teaching their kids. And I thought I have to still be authentic because these people have not had exposure and I wanted to build these relationships. So I started doing things that I thought would be beneficial to the community. So a lot of the artwork, I invited the parents in so they would be comfortable. And many of them didn't take me up on it, but I would show students and we would have similar conversations about artwork. And I noticed that, but it required me to prep them. And the kindergarten students, I might, use certain cards. For example, I might put the artwork up in the room and it may be different kinds of, it depends on the theme of the work, but I might show work by different people. And then the students will put down, if they were young and didn't read as well, they would put down happy face, sad face. I like that one, I don't like it. And then we'd have conversations about it. What do you think the artist is saying? What is it about? And then we would start to get into some of those kinds of difficult issues because it allowed for conversations. Some of them, it might be, this is good artwork or bad artwork. Why is it? I would let people know and students see that the different kinds of people that create the different work and what the issues are. And sometimes I get into those difficult conversations, like what are some of the issues in your areas? And students would tell me things like, every day I have to walk to school and I walk across glass and it's broken and there are whiskey stores and, people say bad things. Sometimes they grab you or sometimes you get into things that you have to report to officers of some sort because they start to divulge things that are pretty scary. And I think that's what we started getting into with art therapy, kinds of things that you use it intentionally to maybe have some of these conversations or draw out, things that might assist or help students negotiate those spaces. But just because they're young, they're very capable. And the reason I say that some of those uncomfortable conversations, I believe most students have an understanding or a sense of justice. Or you've heard kids when they're little, no fair. Well, that's about justice. They're recognizing this is fair and something's not right here. And we can help orient them toward having those conversations and starting to think about change. How can we change some of these conditions? What can you do? How can you do it? Some of the drawings that they do can be pretty provocative. And sometimes you can have them sketch out something or draw it or just talk about it. Or I do a lot of role playing when they're young. So you can set up different scenarios, and those role playing situations and debates oftentimes can get us to have those difficult conversations. And so when you set up a scenario that now requires, what would you do if, and I have a section called, what would you do? And then many of them will say what they would do, given a particular scenario. And then through that, obviously they are making a rationale, and you get to hear different perspectives too, because it understands there's no one way to do any of these things. So I don't know if you need more specific, Sarah, but that is a way to get to some of those topics with young children and youth and all of those. They're very capable of having those conversations. One of the things that I do though is I do alert parents and my principal, because when I was a principal, I appreciated it, because if there is a misunderstanding, then people say, yeah, I was aware of it, as opposed to somebody coming and say, well, this teacher did X, Y, Z. And the principal had no idea that you were doing it. So I know you have to turn in lesson plans and things like that, but make somebody aware that I'm doing this thing. And I would send home a letter sometimes to parents and make them aware, and guardians, to say, this is what we're doing. And if you're concerned, I'm willing to meet with you beforehand and discuss what I'll be doing, or you're welcome to come in and observe the process to see what is happening. And most of the people started to know, they trusted me. I know whatever you're doing is going to help our children and our youth to be better citizens, and will help them think more critically. And I'm okay with that. Does that get to where you were headed?
Yeah, thank you.
My pleasure.
I have another question. It's kind of a loaded question, but oh my goodness.
I want you to ask.
So how did you do all this? You constantly had to prove yourself, even from a young girl to high school, even when you were teaching at the collegiate level. And you talked about, the symbol of a butterfly in your autobiographical lecture, and how it served as a metaphor for this like transformation. How would you say that your teaching philosophy and you as a person has evolved, and how your role as an activist evolved as your teacher, as your experiences evolved in teaching, and you constantly, faced even this oppression as a teacher? And I know you have this beautiful history of your parents being makers, and I'm curious if you're a maker, if you've ever made artwork that connects your own experiences of this, oppression that you faced throughout your life, and any artwork that you've made of your own.
Oh, what a beautiful question, Lucy. Thank you. And so many components. I think art can be very therapeutic. When you make and create, and I think of art very broadly. So some people think, oh, you got to be using some traditional materials to call it art. But I'd like to say that one of the things that I do is I try to come with an attitude of gratitude. I think of all the wonderful things that are happening in life. And that's why I said I would not change anything that has happened in my life, with even the oppression, because it made me who I am. And those things shaped and structured my thinking and my philosophy. And what it did was, and actually I became a teacher because of the injustice. I thought things that I saw, and I looked around me and I thought, oh my gosh, I want to be a teacher, but I want to be the opposite kind of teacher that encourages students, that supports students, that helps them. And I remember, but I thought the arts, and even though I didn't have classes in school at all, I felt a connection to the arts. And I felt like, wow, if this can do this, I believe this can change the world. It can bring everybody together, because it was that kind of language where we might be speaking a different language, but art was like a universal language. When you go to any country, you see symbols and things that could be artistic expressions, and whoever you are, you kind of understand that. I know that that's a symbol for a bathroom, whether it's a good symbol or not, but I would know those symbols. When we do certain art, we can learn to communicate. I know we can connect through the arts. So I've had always an active, I'm going to use the word praxis, no matter how minimal it is, or I'm always looking at it with a creative eye. Even everything that I hang in my home, the work, I have such a large art collection that I just rotated throughout, and I'm constantly doing the art. So I'm a curator. And that's, I'm curating something in my home all the time, always interior decorating. People always say your home looks like a museum or a place that you walk through that should be in a magazine. I've heard that periodically. I make clothes. When I was living in Japan, I learned to do some extreme tailoring stuff. I paint, I draw. Many people think that I'm an excellent sculptor. I remember doing a bust of my dad, and I had to make the armature, the clay, and then ultimately, make the whole piece. And most people thought it was quite outstanding. I love watercolor paints in particular, a little bit. It can be messy, but yet at times, if I want something more detailed, I like experimenting with salts and all kinds of things. I love abstract art. So oftentimes I create the art. So when I go back to the notion of this attitude of gratitude, one of the things that I do on a daily basis when I meditate, and at the end of the day, no matter what happened, I come with an attitude of gratitude. I think about what I have to be grateful for today. And oftentimes I sketch that in the journal. And sometimes it's scribbles, but sometimes it is very detailed designs and swirls and things that I may add color to. So it may be like a visual kind of journaling. So it's not something necessarily for other people that they may see or something I might display somewhere, but I have to have that creative time that I think that helps release the endorphins. And as I'm thinking about when I'm on my way to work, if the traffic were really slow, rather than getting upset, I'm like, wow, at least I have a car, as opposed to complaining about it, or, oh, the kids were so bad today in school. I'm like, wow, I have a job when some people don't have a job. So I'm always looking at, as soon as my mind goes in one direction, I flip it. And then I might sometimes draw those little scenes to symbolize, the thing that I'm grateful for. So there are different ways that I get my me time in with the arts. So thank you for asking.
And B, what are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about a lot, honestly. I've been taking like little notes of little things that you've been saying that I really resonate with. And the biggest thing that I'm like very thankful for your like time to speak with us is that I have not met many people who I think share a similar amount of passion that I do. I think I've just kind of been wandering around, just kind of hoping that I'll run into somebody that has the exact same drive and passion and the ability to be fair and to be, I guess, very flexible in these moments where transformation is very important. Even what you were just like saying with the like making peace with the past moments of oppression that you had to endure, and then realizing that, oh, I am here, I am who I am because of those moments, because of them stacking up on one with another. I've been through a lot of things myself that are maybe not exactly the exact same experience, but oppression nonetheless. And I just thank you. I don't know, it's nice to meet you. It's nice to meet someone who shares and has been through that and continues to, I guess, achieve and explore and know. It's nice to, I don't know, you just keep doing what you're doing, and that's great. So I don't exactly have the words because I haven't thought it all the way through. That's something I like to think about what I'm about to say before saying it, just because you'll get a whole mess of words. But yeah, more or less, that's what I'm trying to say.
No, that's perfect though, MB. That's, it's no perfect way to say it or whatever you're thinking. I think that's, whatever you express is beautiful and wonderful as it is. And one of the things that I've noticed, and it's back to, I think, a little bit of what Lucy asked, it's kind of my philosophy, and it had to do a lot with some of the ways that I think in my artistic expression. But one of the things that I do a lot of stuff related to mindfulness, because we have to be real intentional. And I look at when people we have a lot of mental illness. I know you know that, and more so since this global pandemic. And unless we're being mindful in our praxis, being mindful of so much, and that's why I say meditation is so important. And when you think you're the busiest, that I might need to hop out of the bed right now, I got so much on my plate, that's the moment I need to lie still and center myself, because I find out you can get so much more done. But this is how I think about the past and all of those things that have happened in the past. And I mean, I could write the biggest book you've ever seen on some of the things that would make people tremble to know that people have had those experiences. But when I think about the past, I know the past doesn't exist. I know the future doesn't exist. And all we have is this present moment. Now, let me go back to what I mean by the past doesn't exist. There's nothing back there that we can change, because it is only a memory. And how we choose to remember things, and I'm using the word remember. Remember is our faculties, but we remember. It's like putting it back on your plate today. All of that stuff and you pull it and relive it. And every time you relive it, it somehow reinscribes this pain or something with it. So that's the past. You're trying to remember and put it all there. And then you are not having trouble handling what's on the plate today because it's overloaded. And then you get anxiety because you put yourself out there in the future. What if? And you start to go out there and the future doesn't exist because when you arrive, it's the present. So I'm hoping what I'm saying makes the sense because it's the present moment. So all we have is the present. But if we work that present, when we arrive at the next present moment, all will be well. So it's just a matter of, so I don't get into the what ifs, because the what ifs might not even happen anyways. And all it does is it gives us for all the stuff from the last time and today, and we pile it on, and then now we can't handle it and we get depressed. So looking at the past and trying to relive it puts us in a state of depression. Trying to deal with the future before we arrive at it gives us anxiety. So a lot of these things make us not well. And I think when we're in those positions, if we can just focus on that present moment and deal with that present moment in that classroom, in that situation, we'll be in a better position. And even when I was a principal, I had those kinds of things. When students came to my office and they would come back and I said, I know you're going to make it a great day. And notice I never say have a great day. I say make it a great day, letting people know you are in control of the day that you have. Now, bad things may happen to you, but it depends on how you choose to look at it. And I tell people that you can't make me angry. They're like, oh, yes, I can. If I called you this, I said, that may not make me angry. I might look at you and think you're silly for saying those things. Anger is a choice. So I started letting people know that they have more control over their situations than they recognize or realize, because we've always operated in that auto mode that we don't take time to think, just like 1 and 1 is always 2. So how do we now understand some of these moments and handle these moments? I believe we would be better off in many ways. So when those students came to me, I'm gonna take a sip of water. Thank you. They'd be so calm. And then when they got back to the room, the teacher would say, now don't come back in here with that nonsense. And the student comes back to me, the teacher's picking on me again. Or the next day, the teacher would say something down the line, like, you had a bad day yesterday. Now they brought that one back on the plate. And you better come in here and sit still today. And I'm going like, wow. Just take that present moment, that student is acting well at that moment. Then how do you have, a similar outcome? And as principal, and I mentioned last night that many people, they wanted to send the students to me for punitive measures, and the students said, good, send us to Dr. Knight, she's fair. And I remember on several occasions, all of the students, I asked them, and I worked in some really difficult neighborhoods in Columbus. So I'm just letting you know, from Columbus. I taught at Mays Elementary. I was a principal of Mays Elementary School and the Columbus Afrocentric School in German Village. So I know those spaces, and my 2 kids are in, my daughter teaches in, and my daughter and daughter-in-law teach in Olentangy schools. And then my son is an arson investigator in Columbus. So I know these spaces very well. And obviously I went to the Ohio State University where I got my doctorate. So many of these students in some of those neighborhoods would get murders every night. And one of those students had somebody grabbed him and put him in a car and blew his father's brains out, and they flew all over him. And he came to school the next day, and I knew he was traumatized. But yet he was in school. And I remember him acting out, and he said to me, I said, so Michael, what do you want to be when you grow up? I know I'm not going to grow up because people get killed in my neighborhood. I said, but let's say, for example, you are going to grow up. What do you want to be? Well, I would be a doctor. I said, okay. And then another student that had similar kinds of issues says, what do you want to be? I'd be an attorney. I said, good. I said, every day they showed up. I said, good morning, Attorney Johnson. Good morning, Dr. Smith. And that gave them a hope in front of them. And they were like, wow, you believe it? I said, now, what are you doing every day to work toward being a doctor and attorney? Well, I said, we got to come up with a plan. Next day, I said, come to my office every day and tell me what you did. I turned in my homework today. I did my homework. I did this. I listened to the teacher. I said, great. You're working toward that goal of becoming a doctor. Good, you're working toward that goal of becoming, an attorney. And then the teacher, sometimes very negative, what did you threaten them with? They got good behavior. I said, what makes you think there was a threat? I'm just encouraging. I'm giving them an opportunity to have a vision of something that's greater than what they've already seen and perceived could happen to their lives. And it was not a fake hope, but it was just saying, let's turn this script around. People wanted me to take our kids to prison and show them and scare them, Scared Straight program. I said, no, I'm going to have them go to college and let them walk around campus and see the possibility of seeing themselves there. So a lot of this is visualization. How do we visualize a different kind of situation? And that's really what helped me. I'm just not going to say survive, but to thrive. I visualize what I want to have happen in my life, and it manifested in that way.
Yeah, that totally, I totally get that. I've like practiced that in my own like smaller ways. And even that moment when you brought up of like greeting the students as like attorney and doctor and things like that, the days I remember I spent in grade school, I had of course, teachers that were more on the negative side of reprimanding and things like that, and correction and control. But then I remember when I even it was all the way back in college, like when I got freshman year in college, it was the first time I was asked, what do you want to be? And just pretend for like 2 seconds that it'll work out just the way that you wanted to, for 2 seconds. And I had never been asked that before. Had never been believed in like that before. And I, yeah, definitely made a change for the better just with that and like kind of spark underneath. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And I think about one of the biggest issues for pre-service teachers or teachers in general, has been my experience, is classroom management. So many, that's the number one concern. Literally, when you look at research, that's the thing teachers are mostly concerned about. But unfortunately, they think about classroom management as just discipline. And we know that there is very difference between classroom management and discipline. Classroom management has a lot to do with you as teachers. How do you organize your classroom? For example, when if students are allowed to look at artwork, and I love for my students to look at artwork, and I would have them get up and walk around and look at each other's work. Well, it's up to me to establish patterns. I said, like we drive I said, we can't run around everywhere. I said, think about if cars drove around everywhere and there were no rules on the streets, we'd have collisions and accidents. So in here, let's think about traffic patterns. And we started doing it. Okay, if we rotate to the right as we walk around and look at each other's work, or rotate, that's classroom management. I'm sort of, planning and strategizing. I've seen teachers say, okay, everybody clean up. Then all the kids jump up and run and start, and then all of a sudden they're yelling at them, and I didn't say, and sit down. And I'm like, well, the least I could say, I had signs and symbols that I wanted students to do, and I rarely ever had any discipline problems. In fact, my classroom was used for school districts to come around all the time to observe what I do. Same thing as a principal. I never had fights in my school or students act out. Because now out in the neighborhood, they would almost kill each other. And I've been called, the police say they got outside and in the neighborhood and they jumped on a kid and beat them almost to death. And I'm thinking, that's not the kids that I know in school. And they said, we'll never disrespect you, Dr. Knight, in your school. And they'd even call me Mama Knight because I did care for them more than just a principal. I would carry food to homes that I knew kids weren't eating well. I would do things randomly by the uniforms or whatever. They didn't know where it came from. But I wanted everybody to have that opportunity. I wrote a big grant to have breakfast for every student, not just those. And that way, if everybody had it, because you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you don't have the food, the shelter, and things that you need, how can we expect students to come to school and eat? I mean, and eat the meal that we have prepared on that buffet sampling of art things that we're doing. They don't have the food, and that's what they're concerned about. So we just have to think of them as whole people, and I think we get better results. But those are the kinds of things that I do to let students know how much I care about them. If you also make sure that you take care of yourself and self-care so that you're in a better position to take care of them. But when you think about discipline, though, and classroom management, know that there are different things. And my objective, my philosophy of discipline is self-discipline. I taught students how to take care of themselves, to discipline themselves. And one of the things I would take some of my most difficult students, I said, well, look, I need you to run this errand. Well, I get in trouble when I go in the hallways. I said, well, I trust you. I know you're not going to. Really? You trust me? I said, absolutely. I'm not worried about you. I know you're going to handle yourself. Come right back. Guess what I did? I didn't knock on the doors and make sounds and run down the hallway. I said, I knew you wouldn't. So it's just showing confidence that you have in students and believing in them, because maybe nobody ever did. This is your opportunity.
Dr. Knight, you speak with such intentionality, and you are just so intentional in how you, gosh, care for your students and share their stories and bring important things to light in their stories and take the time to know what their needs are, even if it's just breakfast, what their basic needs. And I just want to thank you for sharing all of that with us. And I want to note how incredible you are and for being such an advocate for these students and their needs, let alone everything else that's going on in their lives. And thank you for sharing that with us. And I'm so curious at how are your relationships, and I know a large part of that is bringing these intentional needs to light in their worlds and having these conversations and bringing authentic change to those conversations in their worlds. And I'm curious how your relationships, and I want to be really conscious of your time. I know how valuable it is, but
I'm here as long as, I don't know what time your class ends, but I'm in. I'm not going back out. I can be here the length of time that you allow me to.
It's just amazing. Oh my goodness. But what has it been for you to just see the vast benefit and reward of having these intentional relationships with students, and how have these conversations, infiltrating social change and awareness and like asking your students what's happening in their worlds, like how has that impacted your community and the relationships with your students? And additionally, I'm a white person, I'm a white educator, potential educator, how as a white person, can I foster and encourage these conversations about race and social justice and teach our education through this, social lens, especially when I have students who are primarily Black?
Wow, thank you for that. And when I hear, because I think you mentioned you were in Cincinnati, correct? So that I know the communities as well. So thank you again for that question. I mean, the fact that you want to do it, I know you're going to do it. I know you will, because you want to. And that's what, remember last night, one of the things that I said is you have to have passion. That was the first thing that I put on the list of things that have helped me. And the next one is beliefs. The belief, you believe in these students. So I talked about all of these things, perseverance. So when you're not doing it quite right, if you persevere, and it's my opinion that people stop just short of being a winner. They get so close, and then when they stop, they get tired, but they were so close to crossing that finish line. So I think the key is build community. And that's what I said. People don't care how much you know. This is my teacher. I know you're smart until they know how much you care. When you start caring for students, and not as a pity case or that they're these vulnerable, these kids are tenacious. These kids are also resilient. Many have trauma, and we do need to be trauma-informed practitioners, but they will love you unconditionally when they know you care about them. Because I've taught all over the world, literally, because I remember in the military, every 2 to 3 years, we move somewhere. So I've been certified in Michigan, Georgia, Virginia, Ohio, all of these places all over the world. I've sat down and I've taught so many grade levels. I've taught every grade level. And I thought it was always about building relationships. Sometimes I had when I was in Georgia, the students were on dirt floors. They had curtains between rooms. And I remember showing up at a house to see the little girl, and she didn't want me to see it. Oh my gosh, she ran so far in the woods because she didn't want me to see where she lived. And I went from, what kind of trailer do you have at that situation? Then when I moved to Michigan, all affluent people. How many stories is your home? And I just, from one extreme to the other. So I still thought about how to build relationships. And as a white person or whatever person, because I've always shown up in spaces where nobody looks like me, or the majority don't look like me. And I thought I have to build relationships. So when you build relationships, those barriers go away in many instances. I'll never forget when I brought my 2 kids, Mark and Francesca, to school with me in the all-white district in Michigan, where the kids cried. They came on the playground and they said to me, after I'd been there a while, oh my gosh, your kids are Black. See, they no longer saw me as a Black person. because they had been so working, they didn't see color anymore. But now I'm not saying that I'm not an advocate for color blindness, because that is a racist ideology itself. But what I'm saying is they had no longer seen me. These were the same kids that cried when I showed up, keep the door open, we're scared you're going to hurt us, and all of those kinds of things. But they no longer saw that as a barrier. So I started to look at how can I show them that I care about them. And so I spent the time building a relationship. That's why I said in the beginning, I let them ask as many questions about me as they wanted to. And that way they got to know me and I got to know them. I showed up at their games, softball games, when I knew some were involved in sports. If I'm teaching in a situation where I'm eating lunch in the room, I might invite somebody, come in, you can eat your lunch in here, and ask the teacher, hey, can they eat their lunch in here with me today? And so I started building those relationships with the family. And as I mentioned, I learned every student's name. And even as a principal, and some people, I have, 600 kids. Well, I knew everybody's name, and I could tell you where they sat when they came in. Michael, how are you doing today? You know my name? Absolutely, I know your name. I say that when they walk into the building in the morning. Good morning, Joshua. They get off the bus if I had bus duty. And the mother's like, they've been to your office? Or they've been in trouble? I said, no. It's just because I know every student's name, because they're important to me. And I know things about them. Oh. And so that's how you start to build relationships, and they start to, no matter what race you are, no matter what. Sometimes students will be angry because they may think you don't care about them, but your actions, you just can't say I care about them. Your actions have to indicate, and kids will sniff you out when you are not authentic, and they'll tell you about yourself. And if they tell you something is dumb, this is dumb assignment, it is dumb, because it's not making a connection to them, or they don't understand what it is you're trying to do, or they might see you imposing something on them. So when I say dumb, all they really are saying is, I can't relate to this. And how much are you trying to relate to them? For example, like one teacher wanted the students to find, I want you to cut pictures out. And she says, oh, they don't want to do the work, they're lazy. I'm like, how do you know that? Well, they're not doing the work. And I said, well, I don't know that that's lazy. So she said, I wanted them to do a collage of family members. She brought in all these magazines and laid them out on the table. And she says, none of them would do anything with them. And they just don't like me, because they're trying to punish me by not doing their work. And I came in and observed, and I said, do you know what? This is what I see. I noticed that you have all black kids, and you brought in People magazine, and you brought in a magazine with all white people. Have you ever heard of Ebony magazine and Jet magazine with black folks in it? Maybe they'll be able to better see themselves. And now you make a collage. And I bought her magazines and brought them in, and the students, oh, that looked like my uncle right there. And by that time, see, again, without making those assumptions. So it's important not to have assumptions, and go in, again, vulnerable with your authentic self. Let them get to know you. Today I'm hurt. I'm sad. When my mother was passing, I got in front of the class. I started trying to teach, and all of a sudden I started crying. I said, I'm sorry. My mother is going to die soon, and I'm just not focused here today. So I apologize. And that wasn't an easy thing for me to do, but I had to, because that's where I was. Or I'm not feeling well today. So please understand that if I don't give you the full attention, it's because I'm doing the best I can today. So you build those relationships, white, black, you're human first. And as a human being, they will connect to you as a human being. That's been my experience. Lucy, I don't know if that even got near to what you're asking, but that's what comes to mind.
It absolutely did. And oh my goodness, I just, again, want to thank you so much. And the way you are, thank you for being vulnerable with us tonight, and just the way you so selflessly share your pain and experiences. We are so lucky, and your students are so lucky, and everyone you come in contact with, including us today, are so lucky. And I hope you know how much to heart that we appreciate your time. And I learned so much from you tonight that I was like furiously writing notes. I will remember this for forever, and will be even a fraction of lucky if I take everything into my future teachings one day in my classroom, which I hope to do, and which I will do. And again, thank you so much for everything tonight and last night. You are incredible.
Oh, wow. Thank you. And so are you. as well. And I'm hoping, we're meeting on a screen, and it's a great way to be present and not necessarily be present. But I just can't wait for the great things that you all are going to do. You're the future. You're paving the way for future generations. And I just can't wait to see what you're going to do, because this world is turned over to you, and you're going to make it what it is. And that's why I say make it. And you're the change makers and not just the change takers. And that's what's going to make the difference.
I also just wanted to thank you because, like Lucy said, who is such a way with words, and like her questions are great. Listening to you speak, especially answering that last question, reminded me of like why I got into teaching in the first place. And it definitely like re-sparked something that like dwindled, being in a classroom where the teacher only thinks of it as a job at this point, because she's been doing it for 7 years. And while she does have those relationships with her kids, it's more so they don't misbehave in her class more than actually caring about her students. And I just wanted to thank you for speaking with us, talking with us, not only yesterday, but like today, because it reminded me of why I got into art in the first place.
Wow. And see, that's what, you all are the reason that I exist. You are. And I know that you're going to change the world. You are, because that's our future. And that's what I do, the little part that I can do. And I think if each of us can do those things within our span of control, this world would be so much a better place for everybody. And you all are the best. Oh my gosh. So look at the opportunity that I've had to be here with you all. Had I not been chosen, I would have missed this opportunity. I would have missed this opportunity to be here with this great group of leaders, future teachers. Wow. I'm the one who's honored. Really, I'm the one that's honored. Thank you. Wow.
Thank you very much for being the shot in the arm that we need, not a COVID vaccine, but the building of relationships and good advice in your pedagogy.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, Terry. I really appreciate you. And again, for being a mentor teacher, it's my understanding. That's, such a great role model for our future generations. And we need more people like you. That's so awesome. And when I hear people talking about kids badly, and I got a bad class, and I'm thinking, wow, you're missing such an opportunity here. You're only seeing the bad. Change those lenses, wipe off that dust or whatever it is on those glasses, but see them in a very different light, and that's where the joy comes. My family would get so tired of me. I'd come home, guess what happened today? Oh, here we go. We got to hear you debrief how wonderful your day was. And I even had a person that says, you're always too happy about it. Doesn't anything ever go wrong? I said, no, it doesn't, because I look at it very differently. I choose to see the good. And as I've told people before, a broken clock is right twice a day. There is no need to think that kids are bad all the time, or something is bad all the time. Depends on how you choose to look at it, right? And it just helps you reorient yourself and walk away. And it gives you more energy. You don't feel so weighted and tired. I can't wait to the end of the day. TGIF, TGIF, no. And I'll be real quick. I want to tell you a joke about TGIF. The reason I say that, because many teachers I've heard say that. And one teacher was saying that because this little boy was always bad. TGIF. And he would go, SHIT. And she'd get angry with him, and she says, and she'd set him beside her desk. And then everything that would happen, a kid do something, she says, TGIF. And then all of a sudden, the kid go, SHIT. And then she said, that's it. You're going to the principal. And she grabbed him and dragged him down to the principal's office. Will you expel this student? He's using profanity in my class, and I've had it. It's Friday. I don't need to put up with that stuff. And the principal said, and the kid said, I didn't curse. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't swear. Yes, you did. You're lying. You're lying. So ultimately, the principal said, all right, Miss Smith, what did he say? he's using profanity. He says, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. He says, all right then, Donovan, what did you say? He says, well, she keeps saying TGIF, and thank God it's Friday, and all I said was SHIT. Sorry, honey, it's Thursday. And see, it's just a way to think about it very differently. So, you know, and if we look at that child as bad, and that's all we can hear, then that's what we get, right? So change the attitude, change the lens. So,
Dr. Knight, do you mind if we do a screenshot of us?
no, I don't mind. I love, because this is what I want to remember this date, and I want to remember these beautiful people in front of me. So please do.
Okay, so we need to document this time together. All right, everyone, you ready? We'll do two. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And we'll do one more just to make sure. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Wow.
Right.
It's great. I hope you share those with us unless I get to do my own.
Yeah, well, you can if you want. Of course, I'll share them, but
Oh,
you
well,
can do one.
I
if you
want to
one.
share. I do. I just want this group, beautiful group that I will, every day when I look at it, I'll smile.
Oh, Nugs is in there too. The
Oh, look
doggy.
at the dog. I have a puppy too. It's a Victorian bulldog. What's his dog's name?
This is Nugget, but his street name is Nugs.
Nugs. Mine is Mahogany. Oh, wow. And look at this. It's cute.
Oh,
Is this a puppy?
no, he's a miniature dachshund. I have 3 miniature dachshunds.
Beautiful.
So
Wow.
he wants to get in on this picture.
Oh, that dog needs to be there. If I were at home, I would have Mahogany. So we would see, you know, have a kind of a reunion with dogs.
Okay, Nugs, are you gonna look at the camera?
Those are-
Okay, let's do 1, 2, 3.
That's great. Wow. Y'all, thank you so much. This is so outstanding. And I don't know, you know, how long I was supposed to be here. Maybe I took you over time, but I just know it was my pleasure.
Oh, I think MB has one thing to share. She
Yeah,
wants to.
Yeah. So sorry to, again, I don't really know the time frame on this. Is it okay if I share my screen? I made you something, Dr. Knight. It's just totally casual, so don't worry about it. But I can share my screen really quick.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Can you see it okay?
What? Butterfly, you made that?
Mhm.
So should I do a screenshot of that? How do I?
I can absolutely email it to you. I can get your email from like one of the Stephanies and like, so you can just have it. It's just,
Oh
it's
my
yours
God.
now. But
Oh my gosh, but I'm gonna give you honor because I am going to, oh my gosh, I'm gonna use that in different context. Oh my gosh. Wow. Thank you.
yeah, of course. And I just like a last thing too that I wanted to mention is I've genuinely connected with things that you have been saying about being much of like a maker and a little bit and at times like the underdog situation and just being fair. That's something me and my siblings, we all share, all 3 of us, is just being very fair and very honest to people. And you're very much that. And it was before you had shown too the images of the Wakanda night, which I thought was so cool and so awesome. But I had titled this piece The Butterfly Night, because when you had told that you were like involving your story, your life story as similar to a butterfly, I have actually started writing my own like mini story with characters and like little fantasy world, whatever. And one of the main characters, her entire story is based on how she's like a butterfly and goes through that transformation and starts small and becomes something bigger. So
Wow, this is beyond awesome. And you know what? Because I'm always called on with presentations, I'd like to use this and I will credit you for this beautiful, beautiful, outstanding work. Oh my gosh.
yeah,
And,
absolutely.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And if this goes in a book, I will ask for your permission to put it in there because I have one book that is not quite published. Oh my gosh, that is.
You already have my permission.
Right. Okay, well, oh my gosh, that is so.
I
Oh my,
understand.
I'm speechless. I mean, I'm not speechless. I always have something to say. You see that? But look at that. Oh
That's
my,
totally fine. I'm usually the same way. Even when I say can't talk anymore, it's always something.
Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. I tell you, you all, I don't know what I did to deserve this opportunity. Maybe I'm not deserving, but I tell you, you have warmed my heart, this group, so immensely. And even last night, the group, if not, I'll probably start to cry if I say something else.
It's okay.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Dr. Knight, it's us who is deserving. And like chats, really, intentional chats like these, just when all these almost educators, current educators, past educators, Terry's actually one of my teachers right now, and Dr. Stephanie Barron Denker are, again, two very, very influential women and teachers in my life. And now you, when all these just are educators so passionate about, so many things, and come together and chat like this and share experiences and hear from people who have just changed so many students' lives already. It is just so overwhelming in the best way and comforting at knowing that this is what we're meant to do. And the people who help us do all those things are always with us. And the community that you create through this field is incredible. And like Sarah was saying and MB was saying, we're just constantly reminded why we are doing what we do. And tonight was such a reminder of that. And thank you again for inspiring us. And MB's work is such a testament to that too. You inspire everyone around you in all different realms. And this is really, really special to see everyone here tonight. And it's really special when we come together in this way. And thank you again for just everything. Oh my goodness.
Wow. Well, I want to offer you an invitation to reach out to me anytime. And this is not a one-off from my perspective. I met you and now you go away. I'm going to expect to hear from you, Sarah, MV, and you, Lucy, at any time, just even if it's an update to just say hi. I would love to stay connected, because I just, I want to be there because you are part of our community and community of educators. And even when I take on the role of president of NAEA, I'm thinking of some role that who knows you might play in this range. So this will be so outstanding and awesome.
Well, and hopefully you all can join us with Dr. Knight in November for her wonderful workshop that we're going to have. So looking
November 15th. That would be great. And happy to be here anytime. So yeah, I hope you will join for the workshop.
Yeah.
So that's great. Thank you all so much. Wow. Wow. I'm going to send an air hug to you all.
Yes, thank you.
So that's great. We're connected now. We are connected. So thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Any last comments before we close for the evening?
Thank you.
My heart is so full. My heart is so full.
My heart is so full. I'm full. I'm full.
We all need the hearts.
Thank you.
All
You
right,
inspired us.
Okay, take care, everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.